So good evening, everyone. We're going to commence with the first part of our public meeting this evening. It is Tuesday, June 13, 2023. Welcome. Would everyone please rise for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone, please be seated and thank you. At this time, the Board of Education and our Superintendent McLaughlin, along with Assistant Superintendent Damian Papa, will begin with the board's recognition of our district staff retirement announcements. I would first like to call up Mr. Corey Delgado. Don't take a seat yet. If you're not ready, I can start with Dan.
Okay. Marty, be careful with that, please. It's the good stuff. Okay. Get my glasses. I'm this guy now. I got to do that. Okay. Thank you. And first of all, congratulations to all of the retirees here tonight. I mean, all of you, most of us have worked together at some point along your Montgomery journeys. Some of us for quite a long time. And so it's warming to see you all here. But I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of two special ladies that I get to come to work with every day. Ms. Violet Markman and Ms. Maria Paz Lopez. I'm going to try not to get choked up. So I'm going to start with you, Violet. You get to be first, okay? All right. So, my Violet. It's definitely sad to bid farewell to my friend and my colleague of 25 years, but it is also a great honor to be able to celebrate you here tonight. Violet was teaching technology here when the groundbreaking technology was Windows 95 and email. I remember looking at my friend Kathy Sinclair when we were being introduced to email saying, we're not going to use this. We're not going to be using this. And oh my gosh, right? And we would knock on Violet's door. How does this work again? What do we do? Most recently, though, Violet has been teaching courses in coding, web design, and entrepreneurship to our upper middle school students here. In a world that is ever evolving, Violet recognizes the importance of teaching entrepreneurship and technology to equip her students with the tools needed to more easily navigate their days here in middle school, as well as the ever-changing landscape outside of UMS. Her dedication also went beyond the classroom as she tirelessly sought out opportunities to expose her students to real-world experiences, inviting guest speakers and organizing field trips to nurture their entrepreneurial spirit. It wasn't a week that went by where Violet wasn't saying, can I bring this person in, can I bring this person in, can I bring this person in, and fantastic. It worked. When I asked some of her students just yesterday to share their takeaways from her course, here's what they said. She taught me how to use Google Sites and it was a real game changer. Another student said, the things I learned and the resources she gave us helped me in all of my other classes, including my multi-genre project in LA, which I am presenting tomorrow, and the student was very annoyed that I was distracting them while they were cramming to get that done. And this one was my favorite. I'm pretty sure I know how to make and manage my money. I left her class with a business plan. Now I need to just graduate and push it forward. And if it's okay with you, Mr. Delgado, I'd like to come back one day and share about my multi-million-dollar startup company with UMS kids. But it wasn't just the subject matter she taught that makes Violet truly special. It was her genuine care and unwavering belief in her students that sets her apart. At UMS, teachers meet regularly to have very intentional conversations about our students, and Violet never has a discouraging comment to make. She has this very unique ability to always see the best in every single child. She recognizes their strengths, she helps them overcome their weaknesses, she celebrates their successes, whether they're big or small. Some of the things she gets happy and excited about would not make us happy and excited, but Violet finds like the rainbow. And for many, she's not just a teacher, but she's a mentor, a confidant, and maybe even a friend. I went back and asked students also to just share what they thought about Ms. Markman as their teacher. The most frequently heard response was, oh my gosh, Ms. Markman's the sweetest. That's what she's the sweetest. I said, why? She said, well, she's so flexible and she's so understanding. She really gets middle school kids. She says hi to me every day, even though I had her in class a year ago. And I like this one. I can trust her. Miss Markman keeps it real. Pretty nice, right? So as a colleague, all of the above could apply as well. We respect her as an instructionalist who's written the curriculum for several courses here. We appreciate her leadership, which was exemplified in the years she served as a team leader. Those also coincided with my first years as a principal, so to have Violet on my team was just invaluable. And lastly, we all appreciate the fun spirit she brings to work every day. She is not afraid to take a risk for the sake of her colleagues or her students, as demonstrated by just a most memorable performance a couple of years ago on our stage. And Maria, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Violet just channeled her best Beyonce at a talent show. And she got up there with a group in this perfectly choreographed performance and did her Single Ladies, and it was phenomenal. And it was for the sake of the kids. It was amazing.
That now.
They rehearsed a lot, so I bet she can still do it. So Violet, now in retirement, I'm so glad that you and Fred, her husband, who's here with her tonight, will hopefully get more opportunities to travel and see your boys. Their sons, Ryan and Kyle, live on opposite ends of the country, one in Maine and one in Seattle. And just know this, you definitely left a mark on me, you left a mark on your students and your colleagues here, so we celebrate you, we honor you, and we wish you all the happiness in the world. Good luck and congratulations with your retirement. We're the first one, so we're going to figure out how to make this less clumsy for the next ones. We're going to do a picture?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Yours and
Get in the middle.
Okay, look at me first. Jim, gotcha.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Violet. Okay, Maria, your turn. Okay, like Violet, we two have known each other for about a quarter of a century. The three of us all worked together at Orchard back in the mid-90s and late 90s, so we go back quite a ways. I also had the honor and the pleasure of teaching your children, Claudia and Nicholas, who are off doing amazing things as adults. You and Jorge did a beautiful job as parents. Hopefully we didn't screw them up too bad and give you too much work to do. They're doing really amazing things, so congratulations on that as well. And it was an honor then, and it's an honor now as I get to speak in celebration of your 27 years in education. Prior to becoming an educator here in Montgomery, Maria worked as a head injury specialist.
Wow.
Interesting. Starting your career with head injury patients and ending your career with middle school students.
Very
On many days, right? The similarities, remarkable. Now, while I cannot speak to her work with her patients, I can speak to the magnificent work she's done with our Montgomery students. Starting with the fact that she created, wrote, and taught 3 courses here in our middle school. The communications course, global leadership, and active citizenship. That translates into teaching students to understand, appreciate, and contribute to the world around them. She has been a guide and a true champion of civic education, and I promise you has made an impact on the lives of hundreds, if not thousands, of children. So Maria teaches one of our cycle courses. She gets every 7th grader that comes through Montgomery, meets Maria, has Maria as their teacher, and gets to experience that course. Teaching them the principles of democracy, the importance of active citizenship, the power of informed engagement, and of course, the skills they need to effectively communicate has definitely nurtured a generation of socially conscious students coming out of UMS. I asked some of your students what they thought and what their takeaways were from their experience in your class, and here's what they said, and this is what they said. This is not me polishing it. I never watched the news before taking Ms. Paz Lopez's class. The news and 10 clips were awesome. And now, I sometimes even watch the news with my mom after dinner. She always expects me to want to change the channel, but I find myself interested. Let's see what else they said. She had us working on projects which were interesting because they were about all that real-world stuff. Another student said, I met my best friend in her class last year because she always made us interact with students we didn't already know. I thought that was amazing. This one I don't really understand, but you probably will. Candy competitions and panda babysitters. That came up a lot. I have no idea what that means, but she's smiling. Know that that made a good impression. More than a few kids mentioned that. And one student shared that you were the first adult to teach her about mindfulness, and that even now, in 8th grade, she uses peacock feathers at home when she gets stressed out. So that must be, one of those peripheral lessons that Maria teaches that's going to go a long way. Maria created a classroom environment which was a safe space for students to have and voice differing opinions. I got to witness this many times. They were encouraged to have lively discussions and respect each other's different viewpoints. And that's not easy even for adults. A lesson I truly hope they carry with them. Maria, you led by example, you modeled civic responsibility. Remember that talent show that I mentioned that Violet performed in? Well, the kids that came to us with that idea were from Maria's class, her global leadership class. And they said, we want to do a fundraiser. I don't remember the cause. It was World Hunger or something. So Maria's course inspired these kids to create this fundraising idea, turned into a talent show. Maria helped them produce the show and all of those things, which led to like thousands of dollars that night too. Probably because Miss Markman was performing her Beyonce's. So it was Maria's course that connected her to that night. In closing, Maria, I want to thank you for all of the contributions you made to our schools and congratulate you on your well-deserved retirement. I hope this next chapter affords you more time with your children and your grandchild. Fun travels with Jorge when you're not enjoying your new home in Pennsylvania. Jorge just shared with me how much he's enjoying the home. And maybe even a new and exciting job, as I know your zest for work has not fully fizzled out. Maybe there's the next chapter, and I hope that you stay in touch. Congratulations, and thank you very much.
Very special.
Invite Mr. Richards up on behalf of his retirees.
I get to speak for Norm. Hi, Norm. I shouldn't do that. So, it is my honor and privilege this evening to speak on behalf of Mr. Norm Gephardt. Norm is a long-time resident of Montgomery. I believe he has spent most of his lifetime on Hollow Road, where he and Paula still reside. It would take an army of folks to tell you all the tall tales of Norm's exploits as a young man over those years, as Norm's trip traipsed across his and our local community with unknown, nefarious exploits. I'm positive Norm was always smart and calculated, making decisions as to what these days of adventures would hold. But these stories will have to wait for another evening in a much different form. My job tonight is to speak of Norm's career here at Montgomery Schools. Norm graduated from MAHS, I hope I got this right, 1978. Yes. I tried so hard to find an old report card, which I believe would have given us hours of entertainment and insight. But surprisingly, those archives have disappeared. So, after high school, he continued his studies at Somerset County, then went off to Rider College in 1984. At some point during this time, he went off and got a real job in the real world. But something or someone, Paula, not sure, showed him the light and returned him to Rider in 1988 to pursue a teacher's certificate. And much like me, he went the alternate route and convinced the folks in Montgomery to hire him as a third grade teacher in September 1990. in the building we now know as OHES, at a glowing salary of $24,271. I'm thinking he makes more money now painting with Gerb than then. But I digress. He did his student teaching with Miss Jessie Thompson in the spring of 1990. Mrs. Thompson wrote, "The children really," you're not going to believe this, this is just gorgeous. "The children really enjoyed his lessons. He used a wide variety of materials." I want you to picture Norm, as we all do. "A variety of materials to motivate the children. Music, using tapes and a guitar. Art materials, dance, just to name a few. Norm, I have not seen you with a guitar, but I have seen you do a mean Cotton Eye Joe at Heritage." On his application, Norm wrote, and this was before AI or ChatGPT, and I quote, "I possess concern for the welfare of students through understanding and respect. Let me do that again. I possess concern for the welfare of students through understanding and respect. I stand here for you tonight to testify that Norm has been true to these words right up until the last day of his 33rd year." Yes, got that right. The children fortunate enough to have had Norm as not just a teacher, but a protector, a listener, and someone that they knew cared for them, but would always be direct and with them and speak the unvarnished truth. Norm has always known the kids don't care what you know until they know you care. Of course, I would be remiss if I did not include an early observation about Norm that was highlighted by Dr. Bernard Miller, Associate Professor of Education at Rider, on his final eval on his teaching cert. He wrote, that is, Bernard Miller wrote, "I want to convince the reader that in Norm, they get a superlative teacher. He was always dressed for teaching in attractive outfits, with a white shirt and tie, always properly groomed. Norm, I can only assume the white shirt and ties are in the closet with the guitar that I've never seen." But let me assure you that I agree with Mr. Miller. In Norm, Montgomery got a superlative teacher. He also started his illustrious coaching career as a JV boys basketball coach in 1990. This was the beginning of a long and purposeful career in coaching at both high school and middle school level, boys and girls basketball, football, and possibly baseball, though I'm not sure about the baseball. No? So that will take me to this story that I'll go off script, and will probably be dangerous. Unfortunately, I walk in a lot of places where there are older folks much like me, and a little bit like Norm. And so you can't go anywhere within a 25-mile radius that doesn't know that man. Everybody knows this guy. Right or wrong, I was at PT just a couple days ago. We don't need to get into why. But I see this gentleman with Montgomery alumni, and he looks a bit of age like me and Norm. So I just take a risk. He's in the middle of PT. I said, "Excuse me, can I interrupt your patient for a minute?" The guy cannot see me. I said, "Is there any chance you know Norm Gephardt?" "Oh yeah, I know Norm. He coached my kids." And he's saying, "Oh, I coached my kids." Because I'm speaking that way, I won't tell you who the gentleman was. I'll tell Norm later. But I'm telling you, you cannot go anywhere in this town that doesn't know Norm Gephardt. And in a good way, not in a bad way, in a good way. So I digress, sorry for that digression. So there we go. Norm has touched so many families and students with coaching all these years. Again, this would have to take hours of folks bearing witness to the impact Norm has had on these young athletes and their families. Not many of us have had the honor to be called coach and to have the pleasure of speaking to disappointed parents about the lack of their children's playing time or Norm's coaching style. Again, this conversation would take hours. But, like the classroom, I know Norm was always a kind, thoughtful, a good listener, but at the end of that day, frank and direct. I believe Norm has been blessed with forming many bonds with our student athletes over these many years, and I smile to think that these will be with him long after tonight. Norm, we can't thank you enough. Let's make sure I got all this right here. I want to make sure I'm in order, and I am not, so there we go. We'll do that again. Norm, you have served our community for a very long time with patience, love, and respect. I'm not done, don't clap. Almost done. In 2004-05, Norm started teaching third grade at OHES in September But then in 2005, he came with his 5th grade colleagues to LMS, where we started the community 18 years ago. Norm is a big part of what we have created at LMS, a community that respects tradition. Norm has been a big part of LMS, and over these last 18 years, he is leaving behind a legacy of a guy who showed up every day with a smile and a big good morning. I can say without reserve that whenever I was in his presence, I believed his students were the luckiest kids in town. I will not try to list all the things that he did for our kids. The list would go on and on. To be long, yes, the list would be long, and the memory of them belonged to Norm and the kids that he showered with love and patience. I will just mention 2. He raised trout every year outside of his classroom in a pond, in a fish aquarium. Kids took care of it, and then eventually he snuck off on a bus. Sometimes administrators knew he did it, sometimes we didn't. Off to some sort of lake somewhere where he would reintroduce those trout into the stream. And he's done up to this very last year, so thank you for that. And he has created let me get back to my words here, make sure I don't mess it up. I can say without, let's see, here we go. Sorry, okay. Classroom, as well as every year leading a science farming expedition to the LMS courtyard for as many as 18 classrooms at one time of student farmers raising crops of tomatoes, potatoes, celery, kale, vegetables that I cannot ID. These are just 2 of the hundreds of projects Norm supported at LMS. This is not an exaggeration. Norm, we can't thank you enough. I will finish with what was said in Norm's annual review in 2010. This is what it said, Norm's unwavering forbearance reminds me of a famous Emerson quote that speaks to who Norm is and the difference Mr. Gephardt has made to the children of Montgomery. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, this is to have been successful. Norm, speaking for the Montgomery community, thank you for taking such good care of our children. And also tonight, again, Norm, speaking for the entire Montgomery community, thank you for taking such good care of our children. Norm. Shake his hand. You need to get his hand in, or you just die.
You're good.
I would now like to call up Mr. Dan Van Height from Orchard Hills Principal.
Yeah, that's good. Good evening, everybody. Congratulations to all of our retirees. I'm here to honor and celebrate Kathy Sinclair. Let me start by saying that principals are asked to work on many challenging things throughout the given year, but I don't think any task can match the difficulty of narrowing down Kathy Sinclair's stellar career into a blurb. But here I go. Kathy has taught health and PE for 26 years, 23 of those at Orchard Hill Elementary School. When you walk into Sinclair's gym, do not be mistaken. You are walking into a classroom. It's just a classroom with more space and less seating. Routines are always tight, lesson objectives are clearly communicated, and student feedback tied to those skill objectives is a priority once the games start. That's one thing I became clear about really quickly watching Sinclair teach. As much as some of our students want PE to be about the sport, oh, we're doing soccer today, we're doing basketball today. Young Dan Van Heist was one of those students as well. Kathy keeps it developmentally appropriate. It's about the skills you need to play those sports. It's about throwing technique, or spatial awareness, or hand-eye coordination. Skills you need for multiple sports that can help you in many different ways. Kathy also served as Orchard Hills MTEA Building VP for a number of years, including leading and supporting staff through the years tied to the pandemic. As the first building VP that I worked hand in hand with when I started 5 years ago, I've always found Kathy to be all of those adjectives that we here in Montgomery value so much: committed, flexible, respectful, and of course, collaborative. I was also impressed and took note of how she was able to strongly advocate for and support members of the MTEA, while at the same time taking a forward-thinking and collaborative approach with all administration. Kathy's "where does she go from here" isn't so common. She's moving out to Illinois to help her parents run the family business, Sinclair's Foods, which is a local grocery store in the town of Jerseyville. In addition to running that checkout aisle or stocking shelves, she'll most definitely find time to hit some golf balls and spend warm summer nights reconnecting with family. And this isn't written down, but I am a stickler for the right type of checkout person at the grocery store, so I can only imagine how good you are. As Kathy's days have wound down this year, we recently shared an exchange where she questioned why I was always laughing when I passed her in the orchard hallways. And I quickly clarified. I said, Kathy, that's not laughter. That's my, holy cow, I'm so excited for you because you deserve every second of this, emotions getting the best of me. That's joy, that's gratitude, that's my excitement coming out in the form of a smiley giggle, basically. Kathy, thank you for your years of service to MTSD and the MTEA, for your long-lasting leadership and support of Orchard Hill students and staff, and for making your gymnasium a place where students did plenty of running and jumping, but also did plenty of questioning, thinking, and learning. Congratulations, Ms. Sinclair.
I would now like to introduce Mr. Damian Papa, Assistant Superintendent.
So I'd say over the last 2 months, and it will continue through the course of the summer, we've been in hiring season. And I've been fortunate enough in this district to serve on a variety of committees. And one of the things that I hold very important when on these committees is when the candidates talk about students. It gives me an indication that they put students first. And often the question isn't really setting them up for that. And I think the special individuals that work in this district, they understand that students are the answer to every question. And I am fortunate enough to have worked with Corey since 2010, and without question, she has put students first in every position she's held in this district. She started in 2010 as the supervisor of social studies, then shortly after a year became the vice principal at the high school, one of the vice principals overseeing guidance, and then currently serves in her director role of student academic and counseling services. And I said really what I wanted to say last week, and I wasn't quite sure what I would say today until I came across what others said about her last night. So Corey has served this community in a wide variety of ways. And one such way was she has served on the Municipal Alliance for approximately 11 years. And last night, they put together a resolution entitled Resolution 2223 honoring Corey Gaylord. I'd like to read that resolution now. Whereas Corey Gaylord has been a champion for children's and residents' mental health in Montgomery Township, and whereas through educational workshops, support groups, and counseling services, Corey has fostered a safe space where students and staff can find solace, understanding, and hope. And whereas Corey Gaylord spearheaded the implementation of Gatekeeper suicide prevention training for all district counselors, empowering them with the skills and knowledge to recognize warning signs and intervene effectively. Additionally, her unwavering commitment to the well-being of high school students led to the provision of a groundbreaking health and wellness app, providing vital resiliency and healthy coping resources and support at their fingertips. And whereas Corey Gaylord ensured that teachers had the opportunity to receive mental health first aid training, equipping them with the tools to identify and support struggling students, as well as helped organize community panels, fostering open dialogue and understanding around mental health challenges in the community. And whereas Corey Gaylord recognized the urgent need to address the vaping epidemic, Corey supported training opportunities to equip educators with strategies to combat this harmful trend. Furthermore, her dedication to uplifting the younger generation extended to supporting a mentoring program at upper middle school, providing invaluable guidance and support to students navigating the complexities of adolescence. And whereas Corey Gaylord's participation on the Municipal Alliance Community Leaders Group has brought valuable insights and perspectives, fostering a collaborative environment where innovative solutions and initiatives can be developed to address the mental health needs of Montgomery Township residents. And whereas Corey Gaylord's unwavering efforts have created a compassionate and resilient community where mental health is prioritized and individuals are empowered to seek help and support one another. Whereas Corey Gaylord's efforts extend far beyond the walls of the Montgomery Township School District, she tirelessly campaigns for destigmatizing mental health and working closely with local schools, businesses, and healthcare providers to raise awareness and promote prevention initiatives. Her passion and commitment have sparked open conversations and fostered a sense of unity between the school district and Montgomery Township, helping to erode the barriers that prevent people from seeking help. Corey Gaylord has become a catalyst for positive change in Montgomery Township. Her passion for mental health and substance use prevention has not only transformed lives, but also transformed the community itself, fostering a culture of empathy, understanding, and support. Corey's inspiring efforts remind us all that even a single individual can make an extraordinary difference in the lives of many. And whereas Corey Gaylord has brought this expertise to Montgomery Township, serving on the Township Municipal Alliance and Youth Service Commission for 11 years, and has further generously volunteered her time to help maintain alignment to our mission of healthy people, healthy communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Montgomery Rocky Hill Municipal Alliance and Youth Service Commission to gratefully acknowledge Corey Gaylord's contributions to public health, and especially for her contributions to the mental health of the children and residents of Montgomery Township.
Still looks great. Even through crying.
Now it's my turn.
This evening, I have the honor to recognize Mr. Michael Richards. Lower Middle School principal, as he retires after serving the students and the community of Montgomery Township over the past 23 years. Mike has been with LMS since the beginning. He served as vice principal before becoming the principal in 2005. Is that correct? That's what the system said. I hope that's correct.
It was 6, 7, 8.
And it was 6, 7, 8, right? Yes, yes, yes. Mike is adored by students, staff, and parents. His belief that learning should always include opportunities for fun and exploration, that students should always have a balance between work and play, and that all students are successful is evident as you walk through the halls of LMS. Mike goes out of his way to know his students and his staff, making everyone feel important and special in his presence. He loves to be part of the school experience and even makes lunch a time for students to be excited of being part of LMS as he engages them in fun activities, like watching Peppa Pig. Mr. Richards is always welcomed hosting in his school the students' events, staff events, and community events like the naturalization ceremony. Mike has many hobbies that he shares with others and encourages them to try. He gives everyone a voice and he listens carefully. He has created a legacy at LMS, one that will continue for time to come. Your presence at LMS will be greatly missed. Thank you, Mike, for sharing your love of the arts, your love of reading, and your love of us, and for always making LMS the most special place between elementary and middle school for our students. Congratulations on your retirement. I know you will embrace all the new experiences you have and hope you will continue to share them with us. Thank you for all the wonderful memories, all the spectacular years you gave us, your Montgomery family.
I just want to say, good evening, this is Mike Richards. I get to be the principal here.
I promise this won't take long. I just wanted to share. Like Damien said, your measure is students. I don't know if you can see this guy very well. His name is Sean.
Lights.
And it's really good.
Yes, please. Go ahead and
Okay.
turn the lights off in a second.
So, yep, I am the luckiest guy in town. Always believed that I was. Probably not so much anymore, because I'm leaving. But that was a good gig, right? I tell all teachers that we interview, I think sometimes I sound a bit obnoxious, quite frankly, during interviews. But I end most of my interviews with, especially if we're interested in the candidate, and we often tell them, are they looking elsewhere at other places to get a job? And sometimes they are, especially those candidates that are attracted to those folks. And I never hesitate to tell them, I want you to know that if you do get chosen to be hired here in Montgomery, consider it the luckiest day of your life. And I believe that to this day. So I just want to show you him to show you what it means to all of us who are retiring. That's what it means. This guy here, his name is Sean. That's when he was in 6th grade. I won't speak of his challenges, but in 5th grade, him and his family faced a difficult challenge. 6th grade, and I was always amazed by the breadth and strength of his family to deal with that challenge. This was 6th grade. I went to see him in Neptune. He was performing in a state orchestra, and he had lost a family member, so I thought it was important for him to be there. So I was there. And you don't know, and as we all as educators don't know, we touch kids all day long. We have no idea
when any of it is sticking. Sometimes we walk out of the room at the end of the day going, I'm not so sure what we've accomplished today. Because you never know if you've made a connection. You don't know. But this guy, go to the next one. This guy now, he does look older. I look a whole lot older. But he looks older. He is now, now he is a freshman at Yale studying neuroscience. But the beautiful thing about this guy is that he was in Yale. Adam Warshawski called him and said, I'm having a retirement dinner for me. Would you come back and play for Mr. Richards? And the next one, just a little bit. So I don't want to take any time. I think I speak for all my fellow retirees. That's what matters. Thank you.
Thank you again for your service to our students and to the district. And please enjoy the little reception in the back as we move on. We have a couple minutes before the board and I have to go back into executive session, but feel free to stay and enjoy the refreshments. Thank you again.
Good evening. It's our Montgomery Township Board of Education, Tuesday, June 13, 2023. Open public meeting. We welcome our guests, staff, retirees, parents, community members, other legislators. We thank you for your participation and attendance this evening. The first item on our agenda tonight, we will hear our student representative report from our Montgomery Township High School student, Mr. Ryan Waltz.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Just speaking to the mic.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Hi everyone. I know it's been a while since I've last talked, but in March I had a stroke.
We did that already. We did that earlier. This is our extended,
The meeting
open
started at
meeting.
5.
The meeting began at 5 o'clock. The Board of Education was honoring its retirees. Thank you.
Oh, no worries. So I know it's been a while since I last spoke here, but in March I had a stroke, yes, for realsies, which is why I was unable to attend the last few meetings, but I'm all good now. I'm all good now, but this is going to be a little bit of a different speech than what I usually make, because my near brush with death has kind of left me wanting to talk about some problems I think are worth addressing. So these past, I'd have to say, almost 2 years, a small but very vocal minority in this community have been kind of really hell-bent on creating conflict within this township. In my time here as a Board of Ed representative alone, I have seen behavior exhibited by adults that students in my high school wouldn't dream of emulating. In school, we are taught to be civil and respectful during discussions and debates, and I think this is something that we as adults should really strive for as a standard. In our community, we have adults advocating for censorship, for the erasure of knowledge, because they themselves are uncomfortable with worldviews that are not their own, and they want Montgomery children to be just as uncomfortable as they are. They do not want Montgomery children to thrive, to push themselves to grow intellectually, or to develop empathy for others. They want children to allow their own discomfort to stunt them, because it is easier to avoid new viewpoints and lash out than it is to pursue truth, to do what's right, and to look inside yourself and try to better what is already there. Students need to be challenged and educated, not coddled or sheltered. From elementary school onwards, we learn about bystanders and upstanders. On the walls of Montgomery High School, we have painted promises to be upstanders. We need more upstanders in this community because this vocal minority feels comfortable taking up the board's valuable time and resources throwing around hateful rhetoric and false information when we should be focused on actually helping students and improving our wonderful school system. We as a community need to spend more time on actual school issues rather than entertaining this new wave of needless censorship and prejudice. We need to focus our energies on improving our already wonderful school system and continue to create an environment where students can be free to learn for themselves. Thank you.
Ryan, it's good to see you, and thank you for sharing that very private.
It's good to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We're happy that you're here, thank you. So at this time will be our superintendent's report and/or presentations.
Hi, and welcome back, Ryan. I'm so glad you're well.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight is the last board meeting for the school year. Earlier this evening, we honored our retirees. I would again like to acknowledge their dedication and thank them for all their service to the Montgomery Township School District. All the schools have been busy with the end of the year activities and events. It was a pleasure to hear about many of our seniors as they received scholarships for service, academic achievement, music, and sports last week. The 8th grade promotion ceremony is next Tuesday, June 20th, and the Montgomery High School graduation will be held on Wednesday, June 21st, the last day of school for students. There's no school in session this Friday, so that's the end of the year report. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent McLaughlin. So now this will be our first public comment specific to our action agenda items. So there are instructions, which are: the Board of Education welcomes and encourages input from the public. Members of the public are allotted one opportunity to address the board regarding the action agenda items only, for up to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. All comments must be directed to the board. Before you make your comment, however, please state your name and address and write it in the notebook provided on the podium. Being mindful of privacy rights regarding students, board employees, and board members, and to avoid any liability on the part of the speaker, the board discourages defamatory and discourteous remarks. The public comment portions of the meeting are not structured as Q&A sessions, but rather are offered as opportunities for the public to share their thoughts with the board. The board may need to refer an issue to the superintendent if the issue has not been handled through the appropriate chain of command, typically starting at the school level. Responses may be provided at the end of this session. So Board Secretary Ottman, would you open? And Mr. Palumbo. Our action agenda items, public comment.
Where are your action agenda items? I don't see them.
I think the agenda is published on that table to your right, my left.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, I do have a question.
And just which action agenda item will you be addressing?
Good evening, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, Tatiana Reyes from Montgomery Township. Yes, I have a question regarding the CJ Pride consortium. I believe is included in the agenda.
Yes.
As item. Okay. I just want to know, and I understand that the school district has been participating in this consortium, and I understand that there are other school districts that participate as well. I just want to have an understanding of what criteria is the school district using to selecting teachers and educators following these, the principles or the guidelines of this consortium. I tried to look it up and I really couldn't find any clear guidance. So I'll be happy if you guys could provide any information in that regard.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments specific to our action? Yes, the CJ. John Fair, the district participating.
Hello. So my name is Marissa Narula, and I live at 20 Carousel Chase in Balmain.
And rejection agenda, I don't know if you can address that.
So, if you have like a general comment about how the meetings have been going, is that something that's acceptable at
That
this
will be
time?
during our second public comment.
All right, so can I hold off to the second one?
Certainly.
Awesome.
Hearing no other action agenda public comments at this time, Superintendent McLaughlin or First VP Franklin Herman, would you please reply to the CJ Pride question?
Yeah, I was going
If
to
you're
say,
able to at this time?
yeah, first, Vice President participates with the CJ Pride, yes.
So the CJ Pride is a consortium of human resources specialists from all the different school districts. So they conduct a job fair, usually in the spring. And when I participate, our Assistant Superintendent, Kelly Mathis, invites me to join her. So we just generally do a quick get to know you of candidates so they know all the vacancies that the township, the district has. But we don't necessarily hire them or interview them one time at CJ Pride. So we kind of vet if their qualifications meet the criteria that we're looking for. And then we push them to apply online. There's a AppleTrack that applicants use so that they can submit their resumes in there, and then it goes to the respective schools for a particular opening. But that's how that happens, the job fair. So we don't hire at the job fair. We just kind of network and talk to the different teachers or staff who want to apply. You're welcome.
Thank you. And now we have reached our committee and representative reports, and we will start with our NTEA report delivered by the NTEA President, Jim Dolan.
Good evening, board members, community members, fellow colleagues from the MTEA and administrators. What a fantastic night. I know a lot of people in the audience weren't here for our recognition of our retirees, but not only administrators but staff who have given 10, 20, 30 years of their employment here in Montgomery, and were celebrated tonight. It was really fun to watch, really inspiring. I think I even had a couple tears going there too. A lot of emotions and a lot of smiles, so it was really good to see. If you haven't seen, once the video's posted, I recommend that you go on there and kind of take a look at it. You might recognize some of those teachers that you've had over the years or experienced with too. A couple things, end of the year's real exciting time, through fun days and just closing out. So a lot of things going on in all of our buildings, but I wanted to share a couple things that were also going on within our MTA. Just when I thought we had the last activity or Pride event of the year, we had one more, because I forgot about this one. It's the 4th year in a row that we are doing Monty Takes Pride in Summer Reading. So the goal is to provide nominated students with books to read over the summer to prevent that summer slide that we hear a lot about. Also to encourage reading just in general over the summer, or to provide books to students who may not have new books as an opportunity to read. So we as a MTA have nominated students. Teachers will nominate students for this, and we'll go ahead and deliver those books and make sure that they have it for the summer. So it's a great opportunity for our 4th year in a row, and we're happy to have our little elves go around and deliver the books over the summer. It's a great program, something we're really proud of. This past Saturday, we had approximately 100 attendees, including volunteers and family members, at our first MTEA Pride celebration. This was an opportunity to honor and support the LGBTQ community and its allies during these most challenging times across our nation. And I was happy that we had some board members there and community members. So good to see some friendly faces and just enjoy and feel the love together when we're at this event. So we deeply thank all the community that did come out and support us for this union-led event. As another year comes to a close, I also reflect on what we all have accomplished together. Earlier this year, we had some schools come out and share a lot of the collaboration and the work that they've done and celebrate that work together here as a community and in front of the board so you have an idea of what's going on. Providing the best education for our students in Montgomery is really a team effort. So I'm thankful to have a supportive administration, to have a supportive board, to have a supportive community who's equally involved in all of this to make sure that we can provide the best education for our students. And something is always a work in progress and something we continue to strive for to get better each and every time. And that's why we still are committed to the work through our district leadership teams, through our school leadership teams, through our dedicated administrators, through our dedicated teachers to make sure that Montgomery is the best possible school system we can make it. So as we close out on the year, it's always good to reflect on those practices, celebrate the good things that we've done, and know that there's always work ahead, but we accept that work and do the very best we can. So I want to make sure that we keep this support and work together and continue those practices going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, our board member delegate and/or representative reports. Hearing none, at this time we will move to our board committee reports, starting with the Assessment, Curriculum, and Instruction Committee report. Okay. So good evening again, everyone. So it continues to be an honor to serve as the board chair of the ACI committee this calendar year. The Assistant Superintendent, Damian Papa, is our district co-chair. We conducted a hybrid meeting on Wednesday, June 7th. In attendance were board members Spence Wallace, Harris, Todd, and Spina, as well as Superintendent McLaughlin, Assistant Superintendent Papa, Jim Dolan, Stacy Young, Jeff Brooks, VES Principal Susan Lacey, Inez Serrano, Alma Reyes, Corey Gaylord, the OHES Principal Dan Van Ice, and Ms. Smith, our meeting note taker. At the beginning of the meeting, the World Language Supervisor, Alma Reyes, presented a new UMS World Language textbook titled Entre Culturas. The current textbook we've used for over 10 years, Avancemos, is going out of print and our subscription will be expiring. It is for this reason that the teachers and administrators collaborated to identify a new textbook. The new textbook aligns with world readiness standards for learning languages. Entre Culturas allows students to use the language to investigate, explain, and reflect on the relationship among the products, practices, and perspectives of the culture studied. The proficiency pillars include emphasis on interculturality over cultural facts, interaction with authentic resources and real-world tasks. Students learn to use the language in context, and assessments find out what the students can do. Next, the grades 5 through 8 math supervisor, Inez Serrano, discussed the criteria considered for identification of a new LMS and UMS math textbook, Big Ideas, that includes standards-aligned, interactive, online resources. It's a user-friendly platform. It includes enrichment and remediation materials, real-world instruction, and a hard copy textbook. The Big Ideas pilot outcomes reported that includes student and teacher-friendly, points of self-assessment embedded within the instruction, practice problems vary in difficulty. Each lesson begins with an exploratory piece where students are introduced to the why for the lesson, offers relevant real-world connections, and the textbook is organized by standards, indicating whether it's a major, minor, or supporting concept of the standard. Then our technology director, I think Jeff Brooks, reported that the technology department looked at the Chromebook fleet and the older devices that may not support the fiscal year 24 digital PSAT and SAT app. All current devices can be used with the app. Students can use their own devices also. PSAT will be digital in the fall, and the SAT will be digital in the spring of 2024. Additionally, the 8th grade Chromebook reclamation consists of all 8th graders prepping for one-to-one status at the high school, which is pretty remarkable here in this district. We are receiving the one-to-one Chromebooks back during the week of June 12th. Okay. Next, the Director of Counseling Services, Corey Gaylor, who we will miss so much, and we celebrated her. She's retiring this year, reported that on Monday, May 15th, the district co-sponsored the Municipal Alliance's Mental Health Matters event. 100 people attended, and there were excellent presentations. Please forgive me if I mispronounce this last name. Stephanie Lockenauer, a UMS teacher and wellness co-chair, opened the session with a mindfulness exercise. Academically at MHS, Ms. Gaylor reported that 612 students took 1,476 AP courses. That's impressive. Finally, to add to the options for families to pursue online courses for credit recovery and/or original credit, the district proposes to enter into a partnership with Brigham Young University, BYU, a well-respected, nationally known institution, to be another option for our students and families interested in option 2 classes. BYU's courses are well priced, in line with our current offerings from Eduseer, and at no cost to the district. The process includes the student completes the application by the published deadline for fall, spring, summer, or four-year course. The counselor discusses with the student and signs the application. The department supervisor approves or denies the application. The director of counseling approves the application. The application is processed with the provider. The family is contacted and pays for the course, and the student is provided with the start and end date for the course. BYU has agreed to support our students seeking option 2 registration with the following types of support. Course teachers have virtual office hours. There are free tutors provided for students taking their courses. Customer support. The counselors can check the student's progress, can provide a chart for approved courses similar to what is currently on our website. Semester courses range from $195 to $295, and credit recovery is only $95. Option 2 is a circumstance when students seeking original credit, because the student may have a special life circumstance and needs option 2 to fulfill requirements or prerequisites. A student who has a passion in the content area and is trying to pursue and complete that track but cannot fit it into their schedule. And a course that we don't offer, for example, American Sign Language, or a credit recovery course if the student has failed a high school course. And then Mr. Van Heist, our Orchard Hill principal, delivered a full-day kindergarten update to the committee. The full-day K development team consists of hiring and staffing led by Mr. Van Heist himself. Master scheduling is led by Ms. Caudill. The development of the new Early Childhood Center, again, is led by Mr. Van Heist. And there's a curriculum and instruction team led by our Director of Curriculum and Instruction and Professional Development, Ms. Boylan and Ms. Monaco. Of course, the New Jersey Student Learning Standards, NJSLS, derives development of the curriculum and learning activities for full-day K. And the full-day K C&I team consists of teachers and administrators. The agreed-upon goal of the committee is to place emphasis on student engagement, transfer of skills, and application to reading and writing, provide clear, systematic, and explicit structure, use of progress monitoring data, and complete in terms of relevant and age-appropriate materials and resources. After a collaborative and intentional process, the committee identified Lively Letters, a research-based and clinically proven multi-sensory reading program that turns plain, abstract letters and sounds into lively characters. It was created by Nancy Tellian. 47 letters and letter combinations are embedded into colorful pictures that show students what to do with their mouths in making the letter sounds. Heavily Phonemic Awareness offers 35 weeks of daily lessons, focusing on 8 phonemic awareness skills, along with 2 additional activities to develop letter and sound recognition and language awareness. Really critical skills for kindergartners, but particularly that K-2 grade span. And then INSE's Orton Gillingham program, a favorite of mine, allows children to break down how and why letters and words sound the way that they do, using multiple senses. I like the sand tray, right? You're making the letters in the sand tray. Children will better understand the rules of the English language. This is effective in the classroom because it allows educators to teach children in the way that each individual child learns best, and it's fun too. So the board's ACI committee will take a hiatus during the summer months and will resume meeting again in September. So this concludes my ACI report. Do board members have any questions or comments at this time? Okay, hearing none, now we will hear from Board Member Spina with the Equity Committee report.
Good evening. Equity Committee met on June 8th. It was a shortened meeting from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. There was a lot of other things going on that night, including senior scholarship night. So that was, we did spend a little bit of time discussing the calendar that was revised and then adopted by the board last month with the Eid holiday as an addition. Board members that were in attendance were Board Member Filak, Board Member Willett Jernigan, Board Member Todd, and myself, as well as Superintendent McLaughlin, Ms. Young, and Mr. Dolan. We went through some of the district website. If we go through the diversity portion of the website, and it looks at what are nationally recognized and district recognized holidays. So we took a look at some of those. We also talked about how each school has a DEI team that communicates how each school will celebrate various themed holidays through read-alouds or morning announcements. We also discussed how the attendance or unexcused and excused absences affect students based on holidays. We also set some goals for next year to do a deeper dive into any HIV trends for found at Hibbs, as well as to continue to work in conjunction with our special education ad hoc, making sure that our students and programming effectiveness is still at the forefront of everything we do. We will not be meeting, Equity will not be meeting over the summer. We will resume our meetings in September. I don't know if I can, this doesn't have to do with Equity Committee per se, but this does have to do with the Title I Parent Engagement Committee, which held a Preventing Summer Slide workshop on the 1st at 6:30 in the Township Municipal Building. As a parent of a student who does receive Title I services, I just wanted to commend Stacy Anderson and Stephanie Lucknower for a wonderful presentation talking about how parents can do things with their children to prevent the summer slide, which is any significant learning loss which happens over the summer. And just giving parents, and there was maybe 10 parents there that night, and just giving some tips and tricks for what to do, how to, thinking about playing card games with your kids, and dice games and dominoes, and how important that is to develop problem-solving ability in mathematics, and how important it is to read and to do sort of like book clubs with your kids over the summer and really talk about what you're reading and making sure that your kids are in a print-rich environment all summer. And even things like if you're traveling, to have kids write a postcard home. These are all really great tips, and I've just felt very lucky. As I said, it wasn't open to the general public. It was for parents of students who receive Title I services. And so as a board member, since I was able to go, I figured I would report out that we did a wonderful job, as usual, trying to help educate our parents and community. Well, off the topic of equity, but I wanted to throw that in there.
It's really good. It's really good.
Thank you.
Does that have any questions? Thank you, Board Member Spina. Operations, Facilities, and Finance Committee report will be presented at our Tuesday, June 27th
Correct.
Meeting. So we will hear from Board Member Dowling with our Policy and Communications Committee report.
Good evening, everyone. We met on June 8th, Thursday morning from 8 to 9:30. Present, myself, Board Member Cookie Frankel-Herman, Board Member Marty Carlson, Board Member Anya Woleka, Jernigan, Mr. Jim Dolan, Mr. Corey Delgado, Superintendent Mary McLaughlin. We went through policies 2520, 6112, 6115.01, 6115.04, 6311, and 7440. These all had to do with instructional supplies, reimbursement of federal and other grant expenditures, federal awards, funds, internal controls, allowability of costs, federal funds, duplication of benefits, contracts for goods of services funded by federal grants. These policies and regulations were all reviewed and discussed at this meeting. The policies are all mandated and will be placed on this evening's agenda for first reading with a second reading to follow at the June 23rd board meeting. Regarding policy 7440, which is school district security, clarification was made regarding the blueprints provided to law enforcement. The Montgomery Police Department has been provided with critical incident maps of all of our schools in digital and hard copy format. So we are in full compliance within this policy. Additionally, we continue to review the transgender policy, which is policy 5756. We had quite a long discussion around this policy to ensure that even though it is a policy that's written for transgender students, the policy adheres to New Jersey law. It protects all students and is maintained as written. The policy is written for transgender students, but it includes 2 bullets within the policy that address the needs of both transgender and non-transgender students. We also talked about the communication specialist position under the communication agenda item. The posting window for applications has now closed. There were 21 initial applicants. Interviews were scheduled for June 12th, which was yesterday, with final interviews taking place after that. The goal is, I'm sorry? Yeah, well, right. I think it's been narrowed down even more. The goal is for the recommended candidate to be placed on the June 23rd board agenda for approval.
June 27th.
I'm sorry, June 27th. Sorry, I will correct that. June 27th board agenda. The responsibilities of this position include, but are not limited to, working with the superintendent's office with communication for the entire district, maintaining the district website, ADA website compliance, and social media. Communication will be thought of more globally. Communication will be more standardized for more consistent messaging. The communication specialist will survey the community for input, and the communication specialist will promote the district in a more positive manner to the community. The topic of live streaming board meetings was again discussed. This is a more expensive platform with the cost not being necessarily justified by the amount of people watching in real time. On average, it was reported that 35 people joined, with 4 being staff working with the filming and approximately 20 being staff members. Therefore, on average, 11 community members are joining in real time. Many more people watch the BOE meetings the next day. The community is encouraged to come to live board meetings. And that concluded our meeting. That will be the last meeting that we hold for the summer, and we will convene in September.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments, board members? Thank you, Board Member Dowling. So next, our Human Resources Committee report of my first VP, Frankel.
Yeah, I just wanted to add for the community member that asked about CJ Pride. CJ Pride stands for Central to Jersey Program for the Recruitment of Diverse Educators. That's what that acronym means. So Human Resources met on June 6th, Tuesday, and as I co-chair the committee with Assistant Superintendent Kelly Mathis, and it's attended by myself, board members Spence Wallace, Todd, and Spina, also by Mr. Jim Dolan, Superintendent Mary McLaughlin, and Mr. Adam Warshawski. We usually talk about personal matters that are confidential, and then on top of that, we talked about the vacancies in the high school since Ms. Rivera is assuming the principal job at UMS, and Mr. Pachuta will be the vice principal at Lower Middle School. There are 2 vacancies for vice principal for the high school, and that interview process is underway, and they are hoping to have somebody, 2 people, to the June 27 board meeting for vice principal. And as Ms. Dowling had mentioned, the communication specialist interviews happened yesterday, and I think we are also narrowing it down and would have an individual presented to the board on June 27th. And that is my report.
Thank you. So next is our final report, what we call our officers report. So first, I think.
May I ask a question about HR? The 2 vice
Sure, I'm
principal-
sorry. I'm ready to go.
The 2 vice principal positions, are we also looking internally, externally?
So all the applicants, from what I understand, were all external applicants. There were no internal applicants. So the final pool are all from outside the district.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Board Member Downey, have a question? No?
Just confirm,
Just
Mr.
clarification.
Pachuta moving to
No problem.
Lower Middle.
Sure, no problem, thank you. So first, I'd like to report that, I think it was January or February of last year, the Board of Education implemented a special services ad hoc committee, and we've been meeting since then. At our last meeting, that was Monday, June 5th, in cooperation with the parents who participate on that committee, we decided that we would dissolve our special services ad hoc committee, and rather the 4 board members identified, that would be board members Spina, Harris, Todd, and myself, will become active attendees and participants on our MCPAG, Montgomery Special Education Advisory Group meetings. The president or lead of that committee has already sent our meeting notice request to save on our calendar through to December, and the Board of Education continues and is excited about continuing to work with those family stakeholder groups as we identify challenges or obstacles for student success and parent engagement, and improve upon those practices accordingly. So now the officers report. So first I'd like to give a shout out to the co-author of this report tonight, and that would be our athletic director, Coach Grundy. So high school athletic programs have been studied for decades. Early studies focused on how athletics helps to foster like a collective identity and generated pride for participants and the community members. So these studies evolved over the years to clarify how participation brought about improvements in physical and mental health, stress management, and academic benchmarks. So today, there are numerous studies that focus on all types of participation benefits, but what sometimes goes unappreciated is the impact that high school athletics has on students after they graduate. So participating in high school athletics has long-lasting, definitive benefits, especially when athletic leaders create environments that challenges the rewards and the growth mindset. When participants are supported in this way, they develop lifelong habits that transcend high school. So 3 of the most important participation takeaways after reading a few peer-reviewed journal articles that I found is that students have a stronger sense of self-confidence in building relationships with others and having an expanded capacity for empathy. They develop a better understanding of self, and in so doing, understand how their actions affect others, and they build on foundations for lifelong fitness habits. So these takeaways do not happen without purposeful oversight. So all school leaders have a role in maintaining safe environments that allow students to experience meaningful and positive participation, to impact students so they can apply what they learn in athletics to post-high school life. Adult coaches and mentors and teachers and administrators and parents need value character education more than wins and losses. And as a parent of 5 children that participated in athletics, I think I was guilty of the opposite. But I'm continuing to grow and learn and do better. When coaches understand they can start students on a path to reach their full potential, they can help students set the foundations for a lifetime of success. So Montgomery Athletics had another fantastic year with 1,089 student athletes taking part in 34 varsity sports programs that Montgomery offers over 3 seasons, fall, winter, and spring. We celebrated individual and team award winners and created memories on our various playing surfaces that will last a lifetime. So take a look at the screen while I read our champions for fiscal year 23. So number 1, in the fall, our girls tennis team captured the Group 3 state championship and finished the season ranked in the top 20 in the state. Wow. In the fall, our boys cross-country team won the Central Jersey Group 4 state championship. In the winter, our cheerleading team won the Skyland Conference championships. In the winter, our boys fencing team won the District 6 championships. Again in the winter, our girls fencing team won the District 6 championships and the Skyland Conference championships. And Julia Scrudato won the Central Jersey Group 4 state title in the 3,200 meter race, which I think is the 2 mile. Julia Scrudato, the mile and 2 mile. Adana Obuba, the high jump. And John Orlando won the Skyland Conference championships also in the winter. In the spring, male golfer Andrew Lim won the Group 3 state championship and finished 3rd overall in the Tournament of Champions. That's all the golfers in the state when you reach the Tournament of Champions. Also in the spring, Adana Obuba for long jump and high jump, and Julia Scrudato, the mile and 2 mile, won the Skyland Conference championships. And in the spring, John Orlando for the quarter mile, or the 400 meter race, Keith Holloway for the 110 meter high hurdles, Adana Obuba for the high jump, and Julia Scrudato for the mile and 2 mile. She is killing it in the mile and 2 mile, won the Somerset County championships. Now, and the following scholar athletes will continue their athletic career at the collegiate level. And I do apologize for any mispronunciations. So we have Nia I. Pecker for volleyball, and she'll be attending Rowan University. Morgan Lopez, soccer, she'll be attending Iona University. And Brooke Hill plays lacrosse and will be doing that at the University of South Florida. Lucas Allen will be wrestling at Seton Hall University. Lauren Cashman will, I think, do the pole vault at Cornell University. Kaylee Epstein will dive at MIT, which is very impressive. Gavin Goudet will play football at the University of Rochester. Joe Rossman will play football at Muhlenberg College. Chris Eubanks will do the same at Springfield College. And Elhaji Diarra will play football at Rowan University. John Orlando will run track and field at Central Connecticut State University. Amy Mao will fence at Brown. Jeremy Wacker will play baseball at LaSalle University. Adrian Hansen will play it at Raritan Valley Community College. Ethan McManus will play lacrosse at Alvernia University. Declan Kyler will play baseball at Riviera University. Mark Alou will play soccer at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. And John Walter will wrestle at Castleton University. Now let's give a round of applause for our talented. So at this time, the Board of Education will acknowledge the correspondence it has received, and there is a list on pages 3 and 4, and there's a total of 17. So now we've reached the part of our agenda where the public may bring any new business to the board, and I will reiterate the instructions. The Board of Education welcomes and encourages input from the public. Members of the public are allotted one opportunity to bring any new business to the board for up to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. All comments must be directed to the board. Please state your name and address and write it in the notebook provided on the podium. Being mindful of privacy rights regarding students, board employees, and board members, and to avoid any potential liability on the part of the speaker, the board discourages defamatory and discourteous remarks. The public comment portions of the meeting are not structured as Q&A sessions. The board may need to refer an issue to the superintendent if it hasn't been handled through the appropriate chain of command, usually starting at the school level. Responses may be provided at the end of this session. So Board Secretary Ahmed and Mr. Palumbo, you may open our new business public comment at this time. Our new business public comment is open at this time.
Hello again. So since we're talking about colleges, I have good news to share. Thanks to the teachers and everyone at MTSD School District, my son will be going to TCNJ School of Engineering in the fall. And we also got an MSEPTA scholarship at Scholarship Night, so thank you to them if they're here. And he just got his Eagle Scout a few minutes ago, so. I haven't been here in a while, just busy with senior year and running a business, and parenting is pretty hard. It's harder in senior year. But being a kid is also hard. You know, we try and teach them as best we can through personal experience, school, books, movies. And one thing our family has been watching together is the Arnold documentary, and he really loves it. He made me watch it, and there's a quote in it that he wanted me to share that Arnold said. He said, "You know, nothing is more important than education because nowhere are the stakes higher. Our future depends on the quality of education of our children today." And we thought that was pretty relevant. And another one of my favorites is the Harry Potter's series of books and movies. And if you're familiar with them, there's a very underrated character there who's my favorite, and his name is Neville Longbottom. So Neville stands up for what's right, even if it means standing up to his friends, which is very hard. And you know, the Board of Ed is not supposed to be about politics. I'm personally an independent. I don't care who votes for who. I have friends on both the left and the right, and in the middle. And irregardless of what party you are, every single person on this board has good in them. I've been to your homes, you've been to mine, we see each other in the halls. You know, why would you volunteer for this if not? You're here about the kids. But some of your associates are really not helping, and sometimes you need to stand up even to your friends. There are certain individuals who come here, and I felt like they're making a mockery of our Board of Ed, and are instigating issues for seemingly no other reason than to provoke chaos. Our teachers, the ones who spend so much time with our kids, have been referred to as grooming children, something which I find very offensive. Books are suggested to be banned. Board of Ed members are accused of being racist, including with enemies of the state. They mock and are offended by a pride event, which is very nice, by the way. Eid being a day off, despite other religions having days off. And there's so much more. I only have 3 minutes. When is this going to end? Like, when are the people of Montgomery going to say enough is enough and let's get back to work together? Be like Neville Longbottom, yeah? Maybe those people forgot about what it was like to be young.
30 seconds.
Were things so much different back then? Did you not have people wanting equality and individually back then? And I'll leave you with something which anybody over 40 will remember. There's a quote from a song, "And these children that you spit upon as they try to change their worlds are immune to your consultations. They're quite aware of what they're going through." And changes, yeah. So, I mean, come on, man. Enough is enough. Let's get back to work together. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Randy Tartikoff. I live at 67 Sourland Hills Road, Skillman, New Jersey. And thank you for that lovely speech. I abhor book banning, I abhor prejudice, and I certainly abhor it if it exists on the board. I certainly hope it does not. Book banning leads to things that are terrible in nature. We've all seen historically what book banning does. So, what does not book banning do? Well, let me tell you, it gives you a nurturing critical thinking. It gives you encouraging empathy and understanding. It gives you promoting intellectual development. It gives you encouraging freedom of expression. It gives you preparing for real-world challenges, unlike the bubble we live in here in Montgomery. It fosters love for reading and books. But equally as important, here at Montgomery, we teach our kids, I like to think all of us do, caring, kindness, compassion. I like to think that we teach inclusion, diversity, and personal responsibility. And those are the things that I think book banning does not allow us to teach our children. I have kids that are 34 and 31. They came up through Montgomery. They've graduated. They're successful in their lives. But most importantly, they're kind, caring, and compassionate people. And book banning stops that. Historically, let's talk about things that happened in World War I or World War II or leading up to that, where we saw pictures of people burning books because of their authors or their content. Content is for all of us. We as parents can stop our children from reading content that we may not believe in. But please don't tell me that my children can't read certain books because of your beliefs. I am a firm believer that we need to have an open society that is caring and compassionate, and I just hope that this Board of Education will continue that as it has in the past. Thank you.
Is there another community member that would like to bring business to the board? Okay, good evening again, Tatiana Reyes, 85 Cherry Brook Drive in Montgomery. Well, in regards to the book banning comment that you just made, I agree, right? I think we as parents, we should have the right to say whether or not we agree or disagree with the books that our kids are reading. A few weeks ago, I came here and I asked the board to allow for a waiver of books that were against the religious and personal beliefs of my family. I have not received a response. So I agree, right? Each of us, we need to live together and we need to have a civil communication, but at the same time, the differences that we have should be respected. If one particular book, I'm not saying that my views have to be imposed on everybody. All that I'm saying is, if that particular book is against mine and my kids' religious and personal views, why a waiver is not provided? I asked a question and I haven't received a response. So that's my number one comment. The second one is in regards to the superintendent's June 8th email regarding the New Jersey school performance, and I asked that question again. I mean, I appreciate everyone's job, from the board members, from the teachers, from administrators, from everybody. But I think we really need to see and think critically and honestly about how our school is performing. I don't know if you feel good about having a 71% in English proficiency or 68% in math. I mean, I think the numbers and the statistics speak for themselves, and we cannot hide on that. I think we can truly need to think it through, just review what we do in what grade, and what is that we need to do to improve. That is my second comment. The last comment that I have is
30 seconds.
yes, in regards to the transgender policy. I mean, I haven't reviewed it. The only thing that I can review right now is that no parent consent is required. Is that accurate? For any person that is transitioning, or is that part of the policy? That's my question to you. Thank you. Thank you.
To transition. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah,
So just
okay.
make it.
Okay, I'll make it, okay. Got it.
Good evening. Good evening. Madam President? Good
I can
evening.
hear you.
Okay, I
Thank
didn't see
you.
that you were paying any attention.
I'm paying attention.
I've written down my comments tonight, and I've highlighted the questions so that you have them to refer to at the end of comments.
Thank you.
I think that this was already just brought up. Will the Assessment, Curriculum, and Instruction Committee post a complete list of the books that teachers can use in classrooms today? Also, I think that at the last board meeting, the board president said that there were some questions from a board member that were being worked on by the ACI committee. Can the information be shared with the public in the spirit of transparency? And I feel like I'm here tonight speaking at a good moment here. There were one or two people trying to create an issue where there wasn't one in the past couple of meetings, saying that a board member called for book banning. Even the Montgomery News brought this absurd allegation forward. I have not heard one person call for book banning. Schools are supposed to have age-appropriate books with educational value for students. Can we get this district's definition of age-appropriate? District parents have asked that their children be excused from reading books that are not in agreement with their morals or religious beliefs or contain obscene language. They have been told no substitutions. I believe there is a book in the schools that describes the detail of the violent rape of a 12-year-old by her father, the Bluest Eye. Asking for books with positive messages is not calling for book banning. Let's look at this from an obvious perspective. Every time any new book comes into the curriculum, one will go by the wayside. Was bringing on the 57 bus and Tomboy banning books, the books they replaced. As has been stated repeatedly, the board does not suggest books, they only vote on the curriculum. So once and for all, can we drop the book banning nonsense for what it is? Nonsense brought about by people who like to make something out of nothing. The board knows this. Can the board president please address this matter and clear it up for the public this evening? Thank you.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Hi.
Good evening. My name is Mohammed. First, I would like to start with a comment. First, I would just like to thank everybody for all their hard work and efforts. I hope everyone is in good health and good well-being. I appreciate, like I said, the initiatives that you take to educate our youth. I'd just like to say that thank you for that. Although with that gratitude, I respectfully share my concerns, as with other families, for my kindergartner in terms of sensitive issues, which have been discussed prior. With all respect and love, that these are family, they go against our family morals. And many of these beautiful families as well as other families. In summary, it is in regards to sex educational curriculum and how that is taught to our children. I am respectful to anyone's belief or orientation. However, Coming from a traditionally religious background, I find it concerning and respectfully frustrating for my daughter to learn about certain sex educational curriculums, topics and curriculum for the children. I believe that they're too young and it may be a little bit inappropriate for the children. And I would like to conclude with more of a comment as well as a question. What type of things will be taught in the future curriculums for these topics? And how can we avoid our children from respectfully removing them from these topics? I appreciate it and thank you for your time.
Good evening. Rich Specht, 187 North Street, Belmead. I'm glad that Mr. Dolan mentioned again the retirements that were celebrated this evening. There's still some refreshments that were provided for that in the back. So as the audience is leaving, if you want to grab some cookies on your way out, they're pretty good. One of the things, so two of the people that I'll actually highlight were Mr. Richards. Those of you who know Mr. Richards, who's the principal at the lower middle school, has been at that school since it opened. When I moved into this district, there were 3 schools. There was the Orchard Road School, not the Orchard Hill, Orchard Road, Burnt Hill Road, and this building. That was it. We now have twice as many buildings, much larger and all those things. Mike Richards was actually at the 4th building the district actually had when it started, first as vice principal and then as principal. So he has retired, or will be retiring, I guess, officially, but so it was great to see him. Another person just to highlight is Norm Gebhardt, who's lived in the township his entire life. Most people know him as a teacher in the district, and so it was great to see him as well. One of the things that Mr. Richards indicated was that students have to be the focus, and they were celebrating other teachers to showed how students were the focus. So it was great to be there. I hope people will watch it on the video. I was thrilled to hear that the communication specialist position is being filled. I think that's a great step forward to be able to organize and present information to the community better. Ryan, I want to celebrate your good health at this point. I was moved by the message that you had, that civil discourse of differences is a better way to go than presenting it in such an argumentative way that some board member or board presentations have had. There was a comment about we're not here to ban books. Well, there was a posting that the Montgomery News was actually in flames by someone. So if we're burning newspapers, that seems like we're kind of on a slippery slope. I'd like to get the public comment back on students. And so things like, as at the last board meeting, the Drag Queen Story Hour, and the board taking a leadership conference in South Africa 6 months ago, it's over. Move on. Let's talk about students. So I hope that parents will attend board meetings in the future, and that can be the topic of discussion. Thank you.
Any other new business to the board at this time?
Hi everyone, my name is Amin Agani and I'm currently a freshman at the University of Delaware studying music education. As a student who went through the district from kindergarten through 12th grade, I feel as though I had gained a well-rounded education. Currently, I'm, as I mentioned, a music education major, and my passion for education stemmed from the compassionate, caring, and supportive educators that I had who created a safe space in the classroom where I could be unapologetically myself. My love for reading was fostered from a young age by being able to read diverse books that allowed for myself and my classmates to find empathy for all people in any walk of life. I would also love to discuss a few misconceptions that I have heard of spoken by other community members today. The first one being about The Bluest Eye. The Bluest Eye was a book that I was able to read in my English class, and the quote that I picked up from one of the community members was, "The Bluest Eye talked about the rape of the 12-year-old. While that may have been true, it was not the whole part of the story. It might have been one small significant part of the story, but it was not what students in Montgomery have been taught to. Students in Montgomery have been taught to decipher skills that was not what the story was trying to convey at all. It was trying to describe how much women have been through and the oppression of women systemically through the years and what they are still going through now. I wish I had more time to discuss how much this book meant to me, but alas, I only have 3 minutes. I would also love to discuss having sex education in kindergarten, because I went through school from kindergarten through 12th grade, and that was not something that I experienced. As a Muslim student, I also do believe that sex education is an essential part of education for anybody, regardless of your race, ethnicity, gender. I think it's a very important part for students to learn about, because regardless of what you teach your students, or regardless of what you teach your children, you're probably going to, at some point, be engaging in sexual activity, and being taught safe sex is one of the most important parts of education. So thank you very much.
Hi, how are you? I'm Victoria Mazzio. I live at 34 Lean Place, and I'm a 7th grader here. I am involved in many clubs at UMS, but one of my favorites is Principal's Advisory. In Principal's Advisory, we try to make changes in the school so that it is a safe place for all of the students and staff. Some things that we do is meet up at lunch once a month with our principal, Mr. Delgado, which will eventually be Mr. Vega. I love this club because I get to make a change and not just show equality for the students, but also equity. If you don't know the difference, equality means having all of the same things, but equity means having all of the resources that you specifically need. At UMS, we are taught to care. This is an acronym for Community, Acceptance, Resilience, and Empathy. I think that as a community, we need to accept that some students have certain mindsets or beliefs in themselves. Some of these beliefs can be their sexual orientation or anything, including the LGBTQ+ community. I have lots of friends in the LGBTQ+ community. I'm not a part of it, but I support it. I think that if we have any students that are in the LGBTQ+ community, then we need to accept of how they feel, because it is their body and their rights. I also think that books about people's bodies, or any books that should be banned from our community, are great resources to educate students on heavy topics in the world. I have recently read a book called All the Spaces for my LA PCR unit that has helped me learn about rape. This is a very heavy topic, but I know that I need to be educated on it because the world is a scary place. It is only a scary place because we are not doing anything to solve the difficulties of it. I think that banning books to educate students is not solving anything. I also think that if some parents do not like their children,
30 seconds.
Thank you. Their children learning about some topics, that is okay, that they have the choice for their children to not learn it. But I think that is still it is really important for all students to be educated so that they are prepared for life and their future. Thank you.
Hi, my name 2 months ago, and even today, we heard some board members and student representatives discussing people not being nice to each other. And I just want to remind you that this is a public meeting. Discussion should be open, robust. People coming here to discuss important issues, plus the fundamental rights to raise their children and educate their children in whatever morals are acceptable to their families. So in your inclusivity, please include them also. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Barbara Preston. I live in Rocky Hill. I'm also the editor of the Montgomery News. Wow, I actually need to move the microphone up. I never have to do that, being 5'3". I just wanted to say a few things, especially following the person who posted the burning of the Montgomery News on social media. To talk about being kind and considerate when we get up and speak to each other. I think that kindness goes beyond just the public meeting. What people say on social media. I guess if we're talking about banning books, we're also going to ban the newspaper and burn it on social media. Thank you, Gabby. The other thing I wanted to say is, not much of a public speaker, that's why I'm a writer. I feel much more comfortable expressing myself in writing. So to get up and speak in public takes a lot for me. But I just have to really say, I'm so tired of people in this community who claim that the Montgomery News is reporting fake news. If I make a mistake, which I do, I'm not perfect, I've made mistakes in the newspaper, I will always run a correction, and I will take responsibility and be accountable for the mistakes that I make in the paper. So when I hear somebody saying that the Montgomery News is reporting fake news, that a board member did not say, for example, what was it? A board member who proposed replacing negative books with positive books with a positive message to make sure that all students feel inspired to be better people. There's nothing wrong with saying that. There's nothing wrong with that if that's your belief. However, I wish that a board member would take accountability and say, yes, I said that. Yes, I said that. It's not fake news that the Montgomery News made up. Somebody said that in a public meeting. When I quote somebody, I sometimes listen to a recording 3-4 times just to make sure that I get the words correct. Now, if you want positive books, that's fine.
30 seconds.
But stand up and say, yes, I said that, and be responsible for what you say in a public meeting or on social media. That's all that I ask. The same thing goes for trying to overturn the kindergarten election. That was said. That was said in a meeting. I didn't make that up. In fact, if a school board attorney has to say, hey, we can't do that, guys, listen to the recording, because we don't make up the news. Thank you.
Sorry if the person who goes after me is shorter than me. I'm Francine Pfeffer, 5 Mystic Drive, Skillman, New Jersey, and I would also like to address what we're talking about, reading and book banning, because I'll use an expression that we've all heard: if it looks like a duck, smells like a duck, and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And asking for positive messages in books is not a bad thing, but that is a step to the road of choosing what books are available to students and what books are not available to students. And that is a first step in choosing to ban books. And while asking for positive messages in a book might be, I spoke about this last time too, might be a valid idea, it's a very dangerous road to go down. A gentleman who spoke earlier today said, that's not real life, and real life has sad messages. And as I have said many times, the educators in this district are experts. They know how to prepare students for life, and they know how to take the positive out of those negative messages. The young woman who just spoke talked about reading The Bluest Eye, and the message that she got was not only about rape. Often, when adults hear things on the news about books, parents, they hear one snippet of what's in a book, and that's what they latch onto. And while that may very well be in a book, there are multiple messages in every book. I am a school librarian by trade. We pick our books carefully. We know the materials we're using. We have selection policies, and we are experts, and we do not put books in libraries willy-nilly. And when I looked for somebody who asked, where can I find a list of books? Go to Atlas Rubicon on the district's website. You will see all the curricular materials there. And I think I said this, and I'll repeat it for anyone who didn't hear me say it last time. I saw ALA notable books. I saw Prince Awards, that's the Young Adult Literature Award that the American Library Association started giving out. It's more recent, and if you don't know about young adult literature, you might have never heard of that award. I saw all book award winners and award-winning authors. They write real-life books that tell real-life stories. Teachers do prepare students for real life. I'm sorry, not all parents are equipped to teach their kids all real-life lessons. They don't necessarily have the time, energy, or means, and so educators step in and do that. They're skilled, they know what they're doing. You've heard our students. I'm so glad to hear the students here. They are so passionate about what they believe, and clearly they have learned and been taught very well. And so I just want to say, the more materials we have, we need freedom to read. It's a right to read, and we should make sure that we have all kinds of materials in our libraries and in our classrooms. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Fatima Mugo, and this is my 4th year teaching at Village Elementary, so I know this is our last board meeting of the year, of the school year, and so I wanted to take some time to just celebrate some of the important and exciting things that are happening at Village. So I actually returned to teaching in Montgomery in the 2019-2020 school year, so that was when the pandemic began. It was like unfortunate timing, but one thing that I really admired about Montgomery was how, from the start, we were focused on how to support our students through the uncharted waters of a global pandemic. Our district staff and administration have worked really hard these past really challenging few years to build up a stronger community, and we've done so in a lot of ways. We've shared at previous board meetings some of the ways that we work to create a more welcoming and representative school community and curriculum. And as a Muslim woman and a child of immigrants, it's been really meaningful for me to be encouraged to share my own culture with my students and to create a space for them to share about their own families, cultures, and traditions. And every year I see how powerful it is for our students to feel seen and represented, whether it's through discussions or books, conversations about communities from around the world, from different faith traditions, the deaf community, children with autism, so many more groups are being represented. A lot of parents and caregivers have shared with me how much that means for their children to feel so welcomed at school. We've continued that same spirit of representation and inclusion this Pride Month with our celebration of the LGBTQ community. Each class made wonderful posters filled with messages of what makes them proud. The posters came together to create a rainbow in our hallway, filled with that overall message of the month, treating everyone with respect, loving yourself and your family, and being proud of who you are. So it was the perfect way to end the year with a message of unity and celebrating our differences. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Barbarash, and I am a teacher at Village Elementary School.
And I also wanted to share some things that have gone on this month and just to celebrate the end of the school year. So today, as you might know, was Fun Day, which is something the students always look forward to, and it also marks the end of the school year. Today was a big success because not only did our students make sure that they themselves had fun, but that their fellow classmates did as well. So while the school year feels like it's flying by, this year, like many, was filled with so many memorable moments where the students, where we saw the students evolve into more accepting, curious, compassionate individuals. For example, we incorporated days of play again this year, where the students engaged in games and activities that were more student-led. During the day of play, students experienced opportunities to self-regulate, communicate, and problem solve. This year, for the first time, we had Montgomery High School peer leaders connect with about 10 of our classes and become pen pals with individual students. The high schoolers not only sent letters, but things like stickers and drawings, which really meant a lot to our 3rd and 4th graders. There was also an exchange using Braille and audio messages. This helped our students not only become stronger writers, but also promoted key skills such as empathy, kindness, and mutual concern. While the school year is winding down, our current 3rd graders are now transitioning into leadership roles such as news engineers for the VES News, which is a big responsibility. Through other academic experiences such as read-alouds and discussions, we've seen students learn how to think critically, not only about the mistakes of the past, but also how to make the world a better place for the future. Students have learned how to appropriately converse and debate issues while being respectful and caring towards each other. Through our SEL activities and lessons, we've seen students become more motivated to take action in big and small ways, and we can't wait to see what the future holds for them and to watch them grow and make their community a place where everyone belongs. So thank you once again for all of your support this year.
Good evening, I'm David Gordon. If you don't recognize me, yes, I recently shaved. And I've been teaching LMS since 2005, part of a big group of teachers who were hired that year that LMS became LMS. With Mr. Richards' retirement, kind of reflecting on the past 18 years and how proud I am to be a teacher here at Montgomery. For starters, our visual performing arts department is truly second to none. The commitment of our district, families, and administration showed towards our arts programs has allowed us to do incredible things. I've been on a few interview committees for music teachers, and each time I found that when the teachers come for demo lessons, they are taken aback because our students' level of ability is so much higher than they're accustomed to for their grade level. And my own shows that I directed LMS, people are always surprised that our 5th and 6th graders put up productions that involve hundreds of students and have a quality that we expect from much older students. And the support we get from the administration and the Board of Education is a big part of the reason for the success. I've learned that when I'm around teachers from other districts, I have to be careful of what I say because if I talk too much about the support we get here in Montgomery, it feels like I'm bragging. I had a New York actor last fall to work with our students in the fall play, and when he saw our Performing Arts Center, he said that was nice from a lot of professional theaters he's been in. So it really is an honor to be here, and the other districts had to prepare. But beyond all that, one of the biggest reasons I'm proud to be here in Montgomery is because of our tradition of collaboration and the positive school climate it's helped create. I was fortunate to have helped create our school leadership team in LMS back in 2017, and it's been rewarding to see the positive impact it's had in the school. We have numerous examples of initiatives that have been created out of discussions within the leadership team, and our school is a more successful place because of it. For example, we've created a morning meeting team that's been giving student voice to our daily morning meeting practice, and a subcommittee that's been working on revising our school code of conduct. In the district where my students go to school, my own children go to school, which is not Montgomery, I've actually come to the Board of Ed several times and said, can we do something more like Montgomery does with collaborative process, because I want my children taught by educators who feel like they're engaged and empowered in the decision-making process.
30 seconds.
Common sense tells us that teachers who feel like they have a voice in decisions that go on and how the school district is run are more satisfied and are less likely to leave their position, which we all know is a top concern in today's world, to be able to retain quality teachers. Thank you very much. Have a great summer.
Hi, my name is Mary Chemris, and I've been a math teacher at UMS for 20 years. For the past 4 years, I've been the advisor to the UMS PAC, which is the LGBTQ+ club at UMS. The formation of the club was the result of administrators, guidance counselors, teachers, and students recognizing a need and working together to help the UMS community. The UMS PAC provides a safe and supportive place for all youth, regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity. We meet weekly throughout the year. The goals of the club vary year to year. Some years, the students want to focus on advocacy and education, and as a result, UMS has a gender-neutral bathroom, curtains in the locker rooms for privacy when changing, and a bulletin board dedicated to educating UMS about LGBTQ+ issues. Some years, the focus is just on socializing with like-minded peers and providing self-care and support. This club has grown over the past 4 years, and we have over 40 students who participated in the club this year as members or as allies. LGBTQ+ youth are 4 times more likely to commit suicide than their peers, and studies have shown that just one supportive adult can lessen this risk significantly. LGBTQ+ youth are not inherently prone to suicide risk because of their sexual orientation or gender identity, but rather are at higher risk because they are bullied and stigmatized in society. The Trevor Project is a nonprofit organization that focuses on suicide prevention for LGBTQ+ youth. During the first week of June, the UMS PAC sold bracelets and buttons during all lunches to raise money for the Trevor Project. Not only did they raise over $400 for this great cause, but they were able to witness how supportive their peers and the staff at UMS are. It was a great way to celebrate Pride Month at UMS. Students need to feel safe and feel that they belong before academic learning can happen. And this is why these affinity clubs are so important.
Good evening. Thank you for the recognition tonight on my retirement coming up next week, and congratulations to all of my fellow retirees. My name is Kathy Sinclair. 2.5 decades, and it seems like it was yesterday. 1997, I walked into Orchard Hill, and I interviewed with Mr. Bill Smith, the principal. Many of you don't even recognize that name. He had a 2-headed pen, and one side wrote in red, and he'd flip it over quickly, and he'd write in the other side, and it was blue, and you didn't know if your answer was good or bad. The interview was over, and there was a lot of red on that paper. But before I left the conference room that day, he had let me know that I'd be getting a demo lesson. And obviously, that demo lesson went well, and I'm very grateful for the time that I got to spend in Montgomery. That's not my point here this evening. I counted 9 superintendents that I've worked for in 26 years. I lost count of administrators that I've worked for. Prior to the last 2 years, when I knew I was going to be retiring, I needed to take a step back. But for almost a decade, I was the building VP for the MTA at Orchard Hill. I was in on the ground level of this collaborative decision-making process, and Superintendent McLaughlin took that and ran with it. And I'll go back to what I said before. I worked for 9 superintendents that I could count, and countless administrators. With what Superintendent McLaughlin and her leadership team has done, is you replace that word working for to working with.
And it makes all the difference in the world to all of the stakeholders, the staff and the students and the parents. So I would be neglectful if I did not get up here tonight and thank you for a wonderful ending to my educational career. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Danita Davis. I teach 8th grade math here at UMS. I've taught in the district for 9 years, and I would like to share my positive experiences of working in the district while collaborating with my colleagues and administrators for the direct benefit of the students. I serve on the solutions team, which is one of the committees of our school leadership team, and is composed of teachers, the vice principal, and the principal. We meet before the school day every other week to identify and address ideas that will improve the day-to-day lives of our students and staff. The solutions team also serves as a line of communication to and from the teachers to the administration. This time together has been a positive experience and directly benefits our students. Some examples are this year we looked at teacher accessibility during our flex time so that students could have more time with their teachers for extra help. We surveyed the students and staff and increased the time that students are able to visit with their related arts and world language teachers during flex. We also adjusted the schedule so that we can adapt to schedule change needs for school-wide functions such as state testing, assemblies, and when we pause for calls. Additionally, I'm the founder and advisor of the Black Student Alliance. We call it the BSA, which is now completing its 3rd year. The BSA is one of the UMS affinity groups designed to foster a sense of belonging and pride and identity. This year, the BSA made a Black History Month bulletin board. They made morning announcements during Black History Month and also hosted a Black History Month movie night. I appreciate the support that administration has given the BSA because my students have expressed the need that they have for the space. My students have said that they continue to come to BSA because they have the opportunity to talk freely and be themselves. They like to socialize with other Black students and see the importance of their community because they are such a small minority in the school. Having this sense of community helps them feel more included in the school because they are around people who look like them. The support from administration and the collaboration with them has directly benefited my BSA students for the better, and I would like to thank them for the opportunity to work with my special group of students. Overall, I appreciate the support of my colleagues, administration, and the board in our efforts to work together to continually improve our students' experiences. Thank you.
Any other new business to the?
Sorry, I just did it long. Hi, I'm Melanie Zhang, 26 Amaranth Lane, Philmead. I was here last summer, I'm back again. I've come back for my first year of college at NYU, and I know there's like a lot of thoughts about how like the school system is like getting worse, stuff like that. I think I just really want to tell you guys that after going to NYU, I know you'll have the experience of graduating high school and be like, I'm never going back, I hated my experience there. No, I went to NYU and I realized because of what the Montgomery Township School District's done for me, I am thriving. I am doing so much better in a lot of ways than I ever expected. And a lot of the things that I really emphasize that Montgomery has helped me with is critical thinking. Insofar as when I was in the high school, in the middle schools, in the elementary schools, I was here from 1 to 12th grade, I understood how to learn, how to read a text, how to understand an idea, interact with an idea, and not just approach it with like, oh, fear, this is a new idea I haven't encountered that I don't understand, that I don't like, and just turn away from it. No, I learned that there are things you don't agree with that you still have to read, interact with, understand, and internalize, because that is how you learn, that is how you grow. And if you previously had an opinion you no longer really agree with, and you've learned is wrong, well, you can finally learn from it. And this is something that has really helped me throughout my experience at school, because I debate competitively on the national circuit at this point, and it's really helped me understand that there are two sides of every conflict. There's always two different arguments, there's different ideas that interact with each other, and you can critically analyze them and put them together and actually understand what is going on. The ability to critically analyze analyze things, has helped me debate things like, I don't know, infrastructure policy, economy, like social rights, and all these different issues that you're better able to understand. When you understand that there are different ideas, you might not agree with them, but yes, you can still understand them, still learn about them, and know how to use them in your life. I did a project this semester in a course I took about anarchy, and am I an anarchist? No. Do I agree with philosophy? No. However, I understand that I can read anarchist theory and understand it and not be an anarchist. I can approach a topic I don't understand, but I don't agree with, and no, it doesn't make me an anarchist, right? I think it's really important to understand that just because I read, I don't know, something queer in a text doesn't automatically make me queer or change my beliefs. Just because I read something about something that I don't agree with doesn't mean my opinion has changed, and I can understand different opinions and come to my own conclusion without being completely either digging my head in the sand or just immediately switching my worldview, right? That's just not how it works. And I think the ability to understand this concept of having different ideas and understanding that it doesn't just immediately change your worldview is really, really important. Whether, like, I don't know, like in 5th grade, understanding how biology works for the first time and realizing that, I don't know, this microphone isn't its own atom or something like that. I don't know what you did in 5th grade anymore, I don't remember. But then being able to apply these things in your real life and you understand that you can learn new things. And I think, let's face it, right? When you go to college, it's a completely different world. Not everyone goes to NYU now, and like New York City, which is like so different from here. But I think we all have different things we learn in our lives. And once we understand that we can learn new things and approach them with understanding, with a willingness to actually learn about it, and not just fear and distrust and paranoia, we can learn so much more. And let's face it, a lot of these things that like our parents maybe don't want us learning about, the internet exists. We'll learn about it anyway. It's fine. Like I think parents in this district are being really having their kids set up to learn more and approach things with not fear but understanding and ability to learn. Thank you so much.
That's what we're striving.
Point of order. All right. Any other new business to the board at this time? Okay, so our new business to the board, public comment is now closed. Whew. Okay. We've reached the, Superintendent McLaughlin, would you please respond to any questions that you're able to at this time?
Sure. So one of the questions was about ACI can post a complete list of books. As was mentioned later on in public comment, the books are listed in Rubicon Atlas. There was a question about something that happened in ACI. I cannot answer that right now. Where does the definition of age appropriate come from? It comes from the books, basically the reading level, the complexity of the writing, the ages of the main characters, and the development of the stage that the book is aimed for. And then the last one was about you. Yes, right. So we, again, in Rubicon Atlas, all the books are listed. There was a parent who had concern about the health and PE curriculum in kindergarten. Please reach out to Mr. Van Heist because there is you can waive your child from the health portion of the kindergarten curriculum. And I think that was all the questions that were asked.
Thank you, Superintendent McLaughlin. Thank you, Superintendent McLaughlin. We're going to continue with the open public meeting. Thank you. We've reached the part where it's our action.
Sorry, Superintendent, can I just respond to the
policy question? Board Member Dowling.
Thank you, yes, for the transgender policy. I just wanted to be clear that that policy is about transgender students and the use of bathrooms. It's not transgenders.
Where can I read it?
I'm sorry?
Where can I find the actual policy? Where is it on
the website.
On the website. I don't know the
On the
number
website.
offhand.
If you stay after the meeting, I'll show you how to access it. Okay. Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Dowling.
Thank you.
Superintendent McLaughlin, are you going to review that? Or was there another question?
Quick question. I know one of our committee members asked about the curriculum for kindergarten, and I'm not sure if you have an incoming kindergarten student, but we've spoke about in the past that there is an opt-out version, option rather. Will that be also communicated to the community for incoming, the new students, such as kindergarten, new kindergarten students, for the new school year? Will parents be aware of that as well?
I think that I could talk to Mr. Van Heist about that, you know.
You good? Any other board member questions at this time? Yes.
Just in regards to the books that we utilize in the schools, I think in the past there were a few members that came up and asked that we pull together a list. I know everybody always references the big, broad website, but I was wondering if there would be an opportunity for us and maybe in the ACI committee to take a look at the books that we are utilizing in our classrooms and making it easily accessible to the parents. Maybe that would give them a little bit of a ease as far as which curriculum and what books are we using. I know it was asked in the past, so.
I think Rubicon Atlas is by grade, by content, and I think all of the textbooks that are utilized, pardon?
Then by subjects.
Right, by grade, by content area, and it's easily accessible on Rubicon Atlas, which is a part of our website. Yeah, Board Member Sweeney, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to say that maybe at a future meeting, we could actually have like a
demonstration.
tutorial of how to go in and search it, because it really truly is very, very easy.
It is.
It's just, it looks intimidating when you think about it. It's just a really glorified search engine. You can break things down in many different ways.
Find anything.
And it's, I mean, to have just a straight list of every book that we use, K through 12.
That sounds like a great topic that we can consider when we do a Board of
Yeah.
Education town hall for the summer and invite the entire community. And we can provide that tutorial for the parents then. Thank you. I see some heads nodding up and down in agreement, so thank you for that. Any other questions by board members? All right, so we are at the action agenda part of our agenda. So I move that we approve the action agenda items. It looks like 1.1 to 4.4. Somebody so moved?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. So Board Secretary Ahmed, would you commence with the roll call, please?
Mr. Carlson?
Yeah, I'd like to separate out 1.1, no, 2.2, and 4.0, abstain. Everything else, yes.
Ms. Dowling?
Yes.
Ms. Franco-Herman?
Yes.
Ms. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Fina?
I'd like to separate out 1.1A, incident number 248152, and abstain from that. Everything else, yes.
Mr. Todd?
Yes.
Ms. Rebecca Jernigan?
Also would like to vote no on 1.1, incident 248152, everything else, yes.
And Dr. Spence Wells?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Outstanding. So we have reached the end of the school year, and despite all the changes, our students and staff have persevered together and have grown stronger. As a result, the Board of Education recognizes and celebrates all our retirees that we honored earlier this evening. We're so grateful for your commitment and your dedication over the number of years that you have been a part of our Montgomery Township community. Teachers continue to adapt lessons, that children were engaged. Our support staff and administration took on additional roles and responsibilities to assist students. Students support each other, both socially and emotionally and academically. Parents and guardians have been there every step of the way to support their children and the staff. And thank you, Ms. Sinclair. I don't know if she's gone or not. But yeah, like even the Board of Education, or at least a number of us, continue to believe in a collaborative approach and how it's inclusive and how it provides a platform for sharing ideas and opinions and perspectives, and how it has contributed to our students thriving as described by the student attending NYU. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. My children have the same experiences, and other board members and other community members that I've spoken to have shared that experience. So at this time, we have reached the conclusion of our Tuesday, June 13, 2023 open public meeting. We thank each and every one of you for sharing your thoughts and ideas with the board. And for those of you that remain sitting in the seats, you know, we really appreciate that and we thank you for that. If there's further follow-up, please remember you may email the Board of Education at our Board of Ed, bdofed@ntsd.us. And that email address is the proper one to use, and each and every board member receives that communique. So if there are no further objections, I move that we adjourn our Tuesday, June 13, 2023 open public meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful night. Happy summer. We do have a board meeting on Tuesday, June 27th, 7:30, right here.